You know your insiders, Bob McKenzie, Darren Dreger, and Pierre LeBrun. Gentlemen, we would have been middle of round 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs by now in a normal time. It's not normal, and instead we're in the middle of another round, or I guess an extension, dregs of self-isolation.
Yeah, that's the expectation, James, that the National Hockey League will extend its quarantine period. It expires on April 30th. It's likely that it would be extended into mid-May. Now, there is a call between the National Hockey League and the Players Association that's expected as early as tomorrow to go over some of the questions and the concerns. I know the Return to Play Committee of all NHL players also expected to virtually meet this week. Players in Europe need to know in the very near future, when are they coming back? How are they getting back? How is that travel process going to be managed? And is there going to be a 14-day self-isolation period required when those players get back to North America? Now, at any point, what happens if a player or a member of the personnel staff of the National Hockey League, anyone involved in the restart process, tests positive? What happens at that point? How will players see their families? Again, when you get into phase 3 and phase 4 of the quarantine process, is it reasonable to expect that the players be separated from their families for up to 3.5 months? And finally, James, perhaps the biggest of them all is a cost analysis that will happen between the NHL and the Players Association. What I mean by that is, with no fans in the building, you've got the travel costs, you've got the divisional city locational costs, hotels will be mammoth, all of that. And what about the extra precautionary medical measures? How much is that all going to cost? And when you weigh everything, is it worthwhile? I suppose it will be, but there's a lot of back and forth first that has to happen.
A ton still to be determined. I think we've all come to realize over the last few weeks that whatever happens with this season, the next season is also going to be affected in some way. What sort of plans have they come up with for next year, or at least are they kicking around, Pierre?
Yeah, James, listen, part of what the league has talked about as a possibility with its teams over the past little while is delaying the start of next season into December. That's right. We had thought November would be a delay. Well, December is now on the table as well. Nothing written in stone, of course, but teams being told that this is a possibility. And there's a couple of reasons. One is that the league doesn't know yet if or when it can resume this season and how long it's willing to go to end this season, i.e., you know, we've talked about July, August for the playoffs. What if it goes into September or October, which, by the way, is on the table? Number two, and I think to me the most important factor in why you would delay next season into a December start is fans in the building. There are a lot of teams that when next season comes, whenever that is, need fans in the building. It's a gate-driven league. It's one thing to finish the playoffs this year without fans, but they're going to need revenue next year. And when can you have fans? When will there be a vaccine? When is it safe? Tough to say, but that's why the league is willing to wait until next December. And by the way, here's the kicker. They'd like to have an 82-game season, even if it starts in December, which means playing into July next year.
Bob, lots of buzz about an early June draft. Anything new on that?
You know, James, we thought we might hear official word this week that they're doing it or they're not doing it. It's my understanding now that that final decision could drag into next week. And right now, we're still relatively pessimistic about getting a June draft, or certainly if you were looking at the NHL's optimism, pessimism needle, because there was such a negative reaction to the idea of doing a June draft, early June draft, before the league knows whether or not there's going to be anything to do with the 19 or 20 season, then they would need to figure all that out. But in any case, as I say, not likely to happen, but you never know, and final decision probably next week.
Well, the NFL draft showed that a virtual draft can work. Let's hope the NHL can follow suit. Insider trading from TSN Hockey.